In this tutorial, I'm going to show you two different ways to create a flounce pattern piece. Now, before we get started, let's just have a look at a few inspiration images to really get an idea of what is possible with this tutorial. So here we have a very large, oversized flounce here on this long sleeve top. And this here just shows what your flounce will look like once you have created it and then just straightened it out. Then we have ideas here. We've got a flounce around the top of a sleeveless dress or going down it, which is like a beautiful way to use this idea in this tutorial. Here we have a swimsuit with a nice detail on the top here going along the neckline with this flounce, and then a cool pair of trousers with this flounce around here. Like, I'm in love with this, so cool. And then lastly, this top here, which is basically made up of two flounces. So let's get started on the tutorial. So let's get started with this tutorial. As I said, there are two different ways you can create a flounce pattern piece. The first way is simply to create a rectangle like so, and then draw lines across it, which are at 90 degrees to the edge, and snip up those lines, just hopefully keeping them connected at the top. And then all you're going to do is open this up. Now, the more you want to open this up and curve it, the more you want to draw these lines. The closer together these lines will be, so you don't have this chunkiness. We want it to be really curved. Now, the problem with doing this is it will only work for shorter flounces, because you will get to the point where this just joins back in and it turns into a circle. The other thing is it can be a little bit wasteful on fabric, because you will get a circle piece left over in the middle. But for shorter flounces, this is a really good way to do it. And for flounces where you don't want a lot of like zigzag basically, then this is a really good method to do. So that's the first way. Now, the second way is to create this spiral shape here. So let me show you how to do this. And this is a great way to do those longer flounces, because the only restriction you're going to have is the width of your fabric, but then of course you can join two together. And the other thing is that it will create such a nice like zigzag kind of effect down your garment, like I was showing you before. Like, you can do these kind of things. You can do this down here. It's really good for those longer flounces as well. So to create this swirl flounce pattern piece, what you're going to need to know is the height of your flounce plus the seam allowance. So what I mean by that is, if your flounce here is, for example, 7 centimeters, you just want to add on any seam or even hem allowance that you're going to be adding on, because we can't add that onto this later, because this line here is your edge line. It's not like we can go and add in centimeter seam allowance either side here, because we just don't have space like we would normally for a sewing pattern. So make sure you are working out the height of your flounce plus any seam or hem allowances. So I'm going to be just doing this in a small scale to illustrate how to do it, but you of course are going to be doing it in whatever scale works for you. So to start with, what we want to do is draw a horizontal line across our page, and then we just want to mark a midpoint. And I just use my pattern cutting ruler just to put 0 in the middle. It just makes it so much quicker. And then I'm going to do every 2 centimeters just to illustrate to you how this works on a smaller scale. So I'm literally just marking every 2 centimeters like so. So that's what I've got now. Now what I want to do is mark on halfway between one of these middle increment lines. So because I marked 2 centimeters, I'm just going to mark 1 centimeter, which is my middle point, like so. And then I'm just going to indicate that as A and this as B. And so that it's really clear what I'm doing right now, I'm going to swap between these two colors so you can really see how this works. So now what we're going to be doing is using A and B as our centers of our circles. So we're going to alternate between the two. We're going to do a circle with A at the center and then a circle with B at the center. And each of these circles always needs to go through these increment lines that you've already drawn, which represent the height of your flounce. So let's start with A. So with this as my center here, what you would do is take your compass. And like I said, so that you're not watching this for hours, I'm just going to do this in a really illustrative way, but you want to use a compass at this point. Put your compass here and then draw a circle that goes through these two increment lines either side. So your circle is going to look something like that. And then we're going to take B as our center point. So putting your compass at this center point here, you're going to go through these two increment lines, like so. And then we're going back to A again. A is our center point, and just really notice which increment lines you're doing. So you want to make sure you've got the same number either side. So now I've got one this side, and then two this side, two this side. Like so. And then we're going to go back to B again. And you get the idea. We just keep going like this. Like A is my center point again. Like so. So now we've got these different circles. What we want to do is, starting at B, we're going to follow this line all the way out. So I'm going to use this different color here so you can really clearly and easily see how I'm going to create this spiral here. So I'm starting at B and then I'm working my way out. So when I get to this line here, I'm swapping what color I'm on. I'm now going on to orange. And now I'm going on to black. And now I'm going on to orange. And then I'd swap again. So you can see I've created this spiral here, and this height, once you've done it with a compass, will be the height of your flounce plus that seam allowance all the way around. So there you have two different ways to create your flounce pattern pieces. And if with this rectangle here you've not included your seam and hem allowances, you can add that afterwards because you'll need to join in these areas anyway, so you can make sure you're adding your seam and hem allowances afterwards as we normally would do in pattern cutting.